vacuuming. Here we go. I do it twice just because I'm that cool. Okay, so what we're going to see here, if I can find a working pen. Good. So the first thing, guys, please, quiet. So the first thing I want to focus on is creating what these give us. Please mute if you're going to watch live. Guys, come on. I don't want to sit here for 4 hours and edit this video. Come on. So now what I'm going to do is I am going to go through and I'm going to solve for each one of these forces. Okay? So I have 60 degrees. I have, in this case, my F of C, if you want to call it, or we'll just call it C. This is now going to be our C of X and our C of Y. Okay? And what I'm going to do is I'm going to solve for each one of these. So this is 300 pounds. This angle is 60 degrees. That makes C of Y what as far as a trig function? Opposite. Let's make sure we start there. C of X is obviously left to be the adjacent, and then our longest side is our hypotenuse. So using that information, now we can solve for one of these. So let's solve for C of X. Sure. That is adjacent, and we are given the hypotenuse. So adjacent hypotenuse, use cosine. What is our adjacent? C of X. What is our hypotenuse? I'm just going to write 300 just to save time because you guys know what I'm talking about. And theta. Theta is our 60 degrees, right? And now we have C of X, and again, for the sake of time, multiply by 300, you get 300 times the cosine of 60. Okay? 300 times the cosine of 60, C of X in this case is going to be 150 pounds. So if this is 90, it's 180 internally, right?
Or back to, like the one where it's X times.
You don't need to do all that. You can.
It's easier.
Do whatever way you want as long as it works. I'm not going to say no. So now I have C of X. I'm going to solve for C of Y. Okay? So C of Y, in this case, is the opposite. Just to, again, opposite theta. Sorry. Sine theta. Is opposite over hypotenuse. Our opposite in this case is C of Y. Our adjacent, or hypotenuse, I'm sorry, is 300 still. Sine of theta, theta is still 60. Multiply by 300, you get 300 sine of 60 equals your C of Y. Okay? You do that math, your C of Y equals 259.81, I'm going to round to. Okay? Make sense to everybody? So beyond that, we're going to do this other one now. So we have a force. This one's now called D. You have D of X, D of Y. Your theta is here, causing D of Y to be opposite. D of X is now still your adjacent. This is your hypotenuse, which is now going to be 400. Your theta changes to 30 degrees. And now you can solve for either one, right? So I'm going to solve for, let's say, D of X first. So D of X, in this case, is adjacent. We have a hypotenuse. What uses adjacent over hypotenuse? Cosine. So D of X is basically going to be D cosine of theta, right? I just did that pre all this before. I can do before. Cosine theta equals the adjacent over hypotenuse. The adjacent in this case is the D of X. I'll put that over here just so that we can know the math. Over your D equals cosine theta. Multiplied by D. D cosine theta equals D of X. That's where I got this. Hold on. Hold on. So from there, you still, yeah, you are, but hold on. So from there, now I can solve, and I have my d, this is 400. Cosine of now 30 degrees. My d of x is going to be, d of x is 346.41 pounds. Okay? Now from there, we can use, you could use Pythagorean theorem. I'm just showing you both ways just to do it. Okay? Just so that if you wanted to solve d of y first, if you want to solve d of x first, you can. It doesn't matter.
We're allowed to use that 36 and 90 ratio.
Yeah, you can. So then you got d of y, right? Now I have d of x. I can then solve for my d of y. My d of y is obviously, in this case, opposite over hypotenuse. So again, for the sake of time, I'm just going to say the opposite over hypotenuse. Sine of theta equals opposite over hypotenuse. Bless you, I think. Sine of theta, which is 30 degrees. My opposite in this case is d of y. My hypotenuse in this case is 400. Multiply by 400 by both sides. You get 400 sine of 30 degrees equals your d of y. Your d of y equals negative 200. Why is it negative? Because it's going down. And as far as the sense is concerned, that creates a negative force. Okay? Now, in order to solve for the resultant force, what do you guys, I mean, realistically, we know the resultant force is going to look something like that. Right? We know it's going to go off on an angle to the right just from, we're hoping, right? We're assuming. But we have to prove that. So in order to prove that, we are going to add up all of the forces in the x direction, and we are going to add up all of the forces in the y direction. So in the x direction right now, we have our c of y, we have our c of x, we have our d of y, and we have our d of x. So in this case, I'm going to take all my x's. So I have a positive 150. I have a positive 346.41, which gives me 496.41 pounds. Okay? My y's in this case, I have 259.81 plus my other y, which is a negative 200, which gives me my difference of the 59.81. So now we're going to make the resultant force triangle, absolutely. So we have, and that's what the resultant, and that's where I would use Pythagorean theorem just to make sure that I can prove that easily, right? So in this case, my x is over 496.41 and up 59 as far as just a ratio and aspect, 59. My resultant force is still not calculated. And as Sam has been trying to force me to do for literally the last 10 minutes, he wants me to use my Pythagorean theorem. A squared plus b squared equals c squared. How do you know which one's a and b, and how do you know which one's c?
A and B don't matter. C is the hypotenuse.
So we're searching for our hypotenuse. So in this case, we're going to take 496.41, add that, add that to the 59.81. We're going to do this math, and then our c squared in this case is going to be, after obviously you take your square root and all that jazz, is going to be 500 pounds. That is your c. Okay? Are we done? No, we're not. What are we missing? You have to solve for your theta. As far as the sense is concerned, you have to make sure that you guys show what the angle that is going to be at. So in order to show the angle, all you have to do is the tangent inverse of this Pythagorean, or of this triangle, right? So in this case, if I move up over here, I'll keep a big little tangent. So I got tangent inverse of theta equals, what does tangent equal? Opposite over adjacent, right? Opposite over adjacent. In this case, my opposite is 59.81. My adjacent is 496.41. And now I'm going to take tangent inverse of theta in order to solve. My tangent inverse of this, basically you're going to multiply this. Tangent inverse of 59.81 divided by 496.41 equals theta. Theta equals 6.4 0.87 degrees. Now I'm done.
You don't have to use the
No. Yeah, you can use tangent. Okay? Are there any questions on that?
questions.
What questions do we have? Yes. All right.